Hello and welcome back to engVid. My name is Benjamin. Now, I'm sure in your working life, working in English, you will have to ask people to do things. But how we do that is very important because people can get upset if we say it in too direct a way. Now, in English, we use the imperative very rarely. For example, do this, fetch me this, complete this. Yeah, it comes across as being very abrupt. So we need to speak in a more subtle way. When you need someone to do something, you will typically use modal verbs. And in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to give advice, ask for advice, and a couple of other functions by using modals. So good if you're working in English, but also general knowledge of English, it's good to be able to use modal verbs. Okay, so first of all, we use should and shouldn't have when we want to ask for and give advice. Some example sentences. You should RSVP to Sheila ASAP. So a couple of acronyms. Respondez s'il vous plaît. It's French for send a reply. As soon as possible. You should RSVP to Sheila as soon as possible. Yep, like you need to do this. I'm recommending that you reply to Sheila prontissimo. Should I wear a tie? Should I wear a tie? Here, I'm asking for advice. What's your opinion? Tie or no tie? Giving advice. You shouldn't be late for. Let's practice pronouncing. You shouldn't be late for. Shouldn't be late for means don't be late. Don't be late for the meeting. You shouldn't be late for the engagement, meaning some kind of event, something in your calendar. Asking for advice. Shouldn't I check that with the manager? Shouldn't I check that with Brenda? Okay, so asking for advice. Shouldn't I do this? Do. Okay. Now, often should follows on from think. I think you should. So to answer this question about the tie, I think you should wear a tie. I was asked for advice here. Shouldn't I check that with the manager? I think you probably should check that with the manager. So I can put an adverb in here. I think you should, or I could have the adverb here, definitely check that with the manager. I think you should probably, or I think you should definitely. Okay, two different adverbial placements. Just as a side note, shouldn't have can also express gratitude in a social context. So someone gives me a very generous tip on the website and I say, oh, you shouldn't have. Too kind. You shouldn't have. Okay, but that's a different function altogether. Right, if the advice is a little bit more urgent, a little bit more vital, then we use must or mustn't. Can we just pronounce that? Mustn't. Mustn't. So the T is practically silent. Mustn't. Mustn't. You must finish the report by 5 p.m. Bam. No questions. The guy or the lady has to do it. You must finish the report by. If it's something that must be avoided, that is essential that we avoid this happening, we mustn't lose this contract. It's so important. Yep. We must not, something that it would be really terrible for it to happen. If I'm speaking to my son, you mustn't eat or you mustn't grab so-and-so's cake. You mustn't help yourself. Naughty. So you must not do that. That's a bad thing to do. We can use must to express polite enthusiasm. For example, we must go out soon. We must grab a coffee soon. We must spend a weekend together. We must go and see David soon. We must, you know, a polite kind of suggestion. You're not saying we are definitely going to do this. You're saying it's an idea. We could do it. We must. Now, mustn't expresses something that would be really, really bad to do. I've kind of just touched on this with the example with my son eating cakes that are not his. You must not do this until, so I'm giving an order. You must not open your presents until Christmas Day. Do not do this. You mustn't help yourself to things in the fridge. No ice cream for you. Okay, I've got a couple more functions for you. Now, if we say have to, then it's talking about something we need to do because of some outside authority to do with like a rule or a law, something we have no choice about. For example, you have to apply for a visa before you get to the airport. You have to make sure that on your driving license, your address is up to date. Sorry, I've got a very itchy nose. You have to submit your tax return by the 31st of January, something like that. Okay, so have to is when we are discussing or making comment about an outside authority or rule. No choice about the matter. Okay, just to illustrate how the negatives are used, we've already touched on mustn't. Yeah, you mustn't do that, you naughty little boy. Yep, so mustn't is talking about a bad idea. You mustn't eat inside. Yep, mustn't. Whereas haven't got to is quite different. So we'd use haven't got to if there's no particular rush. Yeah, you haven't got to do anything, don't worry. You haven't got to get there until 7 p.m. and it's 5 o'clock now. So there's no rush. You haven't got to do it until next week sometime. Shall I tell you something you have got to do that you must do right now without fail? Okay, well, there's a number of things. First of all, you need to make sure that you're subscribed to my channel so that you get more useful grammar lessons, business English, cultural tips, vocab, idioms, the whole shebang, okay? And as all these YouTubers say, you need to get the notification, so press the icon for the bell, if you know what that means. If not, ask. Secondly, this has been a short but productive session where we've gone over quite a lot of content. So a very good idea for you to reinforce that learning and revise it is by doing the quiz on the engVid website. Okay, so I should do that if I were you. And thirdly, if you want any more help with your English from me, then I do have a website which is honeyourEnglish.com or Hoon Your English. So 2 different interpretations there. And what I offer is help on your spoken and written English, should you require it. So check that out. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Thank you very much for watching.